It has been an absolutely wild week in AI as we have seen not one, but two new audio video models get released with Wan 2.5 and Sora 2. Both of these models have been working hard to usurp the throne that Veo 3 has sat on so long as the top dog in the AI video generator space that can also do audio.
Sir, step out of the vehicle for me. All right, pause off the wheel, buddy. Hey, stop!
And now that we've had a few days to play with these models, you're probably asking, which one is actually best? And in this video, we look to answer that question as we run all three video models through a series of tests, seeing how they do with simple text prompts, image prompts, action sequences, and everything in between. We also dive into the question of which one of these models is the most commercially viable. Because as fun as it is to create these viral videos of Sam Altman doing crazy stuff, we also want to know what we can use in our personal businesses to actually drive some sort of marketing value. We got a lot to cover, so let's hop into it. So here's how we're going to run this video. You can see some of the tests I was doing inside of Airtable. I'm going to show you the prompt, followed by the first frame, which is the image we're using, if it's an image to video prompt. And then we're going to go through Sora, Wan, and then Veo, and we'll talk about it along the way, what we like, what we don't like, and which one I think is the winner in that particular category. And so the first test we're going to do is very simple. It's just going to be a basic text prompt. And the prompt we give it is Genghis Khan gives a TED talk about rising graphics card prices. So what are we really testing here? We're testing the model's ability to sort of like fill in the gaps. We're giving it a general idea of what we want to talk about, but we're not giving it specific audio. We're not even giving it a real storyline. We're just giving it one subject to talk about in a setting. So we want to see how well it does extrapolating that from the barest of prompts. So here's Sora 2.
In my time, if a horse costs too much, we took another tribe and solved the problem. But today, look at this. From 2018 to now, the price of a single graphic card climbed.
So honestly, I thought that was great. I think this is where Sora 2 really shines, and that's when you give it a very bare bones prompt and you let it just go crazy. It did a great job with sort of the orbiting camera. You see the graphics card prices over time, like PowerPoint slide in the background, and it did a really good job in the audio, right? Like relating, graphics cards with, trying to find a horse, right? Like we're back on the Asian steppe, right? We're about to raid another tribe. Great video, in my opinion. Now let's look at Wan 2.2. This is the other model that came out this week.
Genghis Khan gives a rising graphics card prices. Who look into what kingly Olindus.
So that was completely terrible, very incoherent, no idea what he really said. You heard something about graphics cards. You see something in the background that also says graphics cards, but why does it say ED at the end? So it's not really saying cards. You get the hint of a TED talk in the background, and they dressed up Genghis Khan like he's in a modern setting, which I'm okay with, but it did a really bad job of, again, extrapolating information and filling in the gaps. Now let's take a look at Veo 3.
The price of graphics cards has risen to unacceptable levels.
So that's pretty good. Great prompt adherence. It did exactly what we told it. It didn't go above and beyond like we saw with Sora 2 and the storytelling, but the visuals are super crisp. The audio is great. I can tell it's a TED talk. It didn't blow me away, but I'm not disappointed. So overall, solid work. Now, if we want to rank these, I think it's pretty obvious. Sora 2 is definitely the winner there for sort of a simple prompt. Veo 3 comes in second place, and Wan 3 was trailing behind heavily. Now for the next one, we're going to see how it does in a UGC style video, right? So the prompt is a realistic UGC style video from a selfie perspective, relatable woman, early 30s, modern bathroom, and basically she's just holding up a minimalist jar of face cream, right? So we want her to do a UGC video for face cream, right? So let's see how they do. We gave it a little more direction here, but we didn't specify exactly what we wanted to say or anything like that. So first up is Sora 2.
Okay, you guys keep asking what moisturizer I've been obsessed with lately. This little guy. Look at how simple and cute the packaging is. Let me show you the texture. It's so creamy, but it melts right in. See that? No greasiness, just this soft.
Again, really, really good. What I love about Sora 2 are sort of those quick cuts. You notice it very quickly jump from one scene to the other. Like here.
With lately, this little guy. Look at how simple and cute.
To there, like you notice those cuts. No other video model does that, and it gives it a more realistic, authentic feeling like you would see from a video a human being actually produced. On top of that, lighting looks great, and the audio was spot on. Now let's check out Wan 2.5.
Soft and prosaic base tea down there on my palm of the hand pulls at its creamy texture.
So the audio was kind of like jumbled at the beginning. I couldn't really tell if that was an issue with the actual audio. They just went with like a weird accent. You eventually pick it up at the end, what she's talking about. So audio was visually great. You don't see the quick cuts, but everything looks real. The lighting looks awesome. If you look in the back here, you can see her reflection in the like shower like glass. Even more so if you zoom in where my cursor is, there's basically a shadow that looks like a selfie stick in a phone. So it gets really, really detailed. And so visually, this is awesome. Now let's check out VO3.
So I got this product a couple weeks ago and I have been absolutely obsessed with it.
So VO3, solid, right? Quality is what you expect. Audio is what you expect. But my one complaint with VO3 in this stuff is maybe it's because we've seen VO3 for so long and it's kind of like biasing me. You can almost tell right away when it's a VO3 AI video, right? Like it's not an uncanny valley, but it's like it started to climb out of that valley and it's getting really, really close, but you can tell it has like this AI sheen to it almost, and you don't notice that as much. And again, perhaps this is just because it's new from something like Sora, right? Like just kind of the way this looks and the cuts, like it feels less AI. And again, that could totally just be a bias on my part. Now, how would I rank these when it comes to doing the UGC stuff? And this is an important thing and something you're going to see a lot of moving forward. I would say Sora 2 was number 1 here. And I would say Wan 2.5 was second. The audio was a little jumbled, but again, that could be an accent thing. And then VO3 I would put last. And this is closer than it looks though, but Sora 2 did great here. So for the next test, we're actually going to jump down here. We're going to take a look at physics. So we're going to see how it does showing a video of a gymnast performing a complex routine on the uneven bars. We go into pretty good detail here. And I did that on purpose because what I didn't want it to do was we tell the models, hey, have the gymnast perform this complex routine, and it sort of just cheats and it creates a video that it can make. Like, no, we have a specific thing we want to see that's very dynamic. Can you do it? So let's see how they do. And as always, we'll start off with Sora 2. All right, so it went with almost like a late 90s, early 2000s, like handheld camcorder aesthetic, which I don't mind. In terms of the actual physics, pretty good. Like some parts were like a little weird or janky, but it never looked completely unnatural. Like it kind of made sense. So solid job. Now let's look at Wan. So terrible, absolutely terrible job. There's multiple instances where you see her like switch from her body being on one side, like her back becomes her front. Like you see that here, right? Like here's her back, and then all of a sudden, nope, now her face is on the back of her head. And it does that multiple times because it can't deal with the dynamic changes of her flipping around and spinning around. It's just like, oh, nope, now your body's in a different spot. So that was really, really bad. And it had a very strange like motion feel to it. Some parts were like slow motion and some were sped up. It just really bad. Let's look at VO3. Again, terrible. That was similar to Wan, where it just like doesn't know what to do when it comes to these like dynamic physics, right? So it almost just does nothing, or it just like flips the body around, or it turns it into Play-Doh, or her feet have now become part of the floor. So again, that was really bad. And I honestly can't even rank Wan versus VO. They were both awful, but Sora did great. What I actually want to talk about now is how do these models do when it comes to first frame images, right? And how can we do that in terms of marketing, right? If I have an image like this, and if you've seen previous videos, you've seen this before, right? We had the Chase AI coffee shop, and I showed you how we could create AI marketing material in a combination of like Midjourney, Nano Banana, and then whatever video model we're using. In order to like use these video models effectively in marketing, we need some way to maintain creative control beyond just a text prompt, right? I need assets that I can put into a video and characters and scenes that are consistent from video to video. You can't do that with text. You can only do that with images and with starting images. So how do these models do if we give them a starting image of whatever it is we're selling or our product or our market or whatever, and then give it a prompt on top of that. Does it have the characters like maintain consistent from scene to scene? Does it actually work? Does it look natural, right? I don't care about gymnast videos. I care about marketing. So let's test it. So what is the prompt going to be? The prompt's going to be that image you saw, and very simple. We wanted to zoom in on the woman as she welcomes you to the new Chase AI coffee shop. She turns around, walks inside, and shows the place off. So how does Sora 2 do here? Sora 2's been killing it. Absolutely crushing it. What do we get? Oh, we get an error. We currently do not support uploads of images creating photorealistic people. That's a problem, isn't it? That's kind of tough, right? And we're going to dive into that more in a second, but that should give you some serious pause. I can't create photorealistic images of people who don't even exist, right? Seems like we swung from one end of the pendulum to the complete other, because the first 3 days you can make videos of whatever you want. Now I can't even create made up AI people. I digress. But let's see how Wan did on this.
To the new Chase AI coffee shop. She's going to be those full faces, things you want our friends.
All right, well, I think she made up a new language during that. The camera really didn't do anything. We zoomed in like 6 inches, and she just kind of like walked into the store. Overall, 0 out of 10, worthless. Let's check out VO3.
Welcome to the new Chase AI coffee shop.
Again, solid prompt adherence, which is sort of a theme with VO3. Does it blow you out of the water? No. Are we kind of used to these visuals? Yes. Does it do what it says it's doing? Yes, it does. Hopefully this is a foundation for improvements moving forward, but at least I can work with that. With the Wan, it feels like every time you create a video with them, you're kind of just rolling the dice to see what you get. I was not impressed with it really throughout this entire process. But let's go back to Sora, right? This is an issue. How can we get around the fact that I can't put in people, right? What can I do here? Now, we aren't completely out of luck because we have a few options. So let's start from this single image, right? I have to somehow remove her, right? There's a simple way to do that. The easiest way is I just go and have AI remove her from the picture, and then we start from there. Right here, I'm inside of Higgsfield, so I can use either Nano Banana, or I can use something like Dream and just give it the simple structures of, hey, remove her from a picture. The other option is you start going into a non-photorealistic route. So again, I go into Higgsfield and I say something like, hey, turn this into an anime type photo, right? Or I get more stylized, and you can see me sort of messing with some options here. But you don't always have to go the photorealistic route, right? You do have the option to not necessarily turn it into some sort of like anime ad, but think of any visual style that isn't photorealism. You can do that with Sora and still get all the benefits, but we can't do the starting image with the photorealistic character. And as a quick aside, I pretty much created all these videos inside of Higgsfield.ai. I'll have a link down below. Like, this was a ton of videos I did, and I racked up a bunch of credits, but luckily with Higgsfield, they are running a thing right now where if you do sign up, you can get unlimited like Wan, and the VO3 prices there are really cheap as well. So something you might want to look at. They also have the ability to, like, you know, instead of just doing a prompt like you see here, you can do your text prompt, but you can also like essentially add these like add-ons almost. So you can be like, all right, I want it to be a selling video like UGC or stream or static or whatever. Tons of cool stuff inside of Higgsfield. Quick little plug. Back to our problem. Let's say I don't want to do anime filter. I just want it to look like my store in photorealism, and I don't want to do some weird hacky workaround. Well, then your answer is this. You're still going to do a first image. You're just going to do it without her, right? So I still see the coffee shop, yet I still want a barista, some member of the shop to show up and like give the spiel. Welcome to Chase AI. We open this week, blah, 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 blah. Well, what if I use personas? You know, that's one option. If you haven't seen personas yet, it's something you set up inside the app, the Sora 2 app. You have to be in iOS. You take a picture of yourself. You can upload yourself just like you see Sam Altman on there. And so then I could do a prompt like this. Hey, at Chase GPT walks into the frame. Welcome to the Chase AI coffee shop, right? This should work great. I add the persona. I add the first image. Let's see what we get.
Hey, I'm Chase Hannigan. Welcome to the new Chase AI coffee shop. Come on in.
Yeah, this is like a nightmare, What is that? What's wrong with my eyes? It looks like I had some like horrific allergy and they just like swelled up and then they actually removed them. And then they massacred my coffee shop. They got rid of all the branding and everything that made it cool. And then I walk inside and I don't even know what I'm selling. Looks like things of olive oil. I don't know, but that didn't work, right? So personas are off the table. If you think you can do a persona and throw in the first image and it'll work, it will not. Now, what if we mix it up and we get rid of the persona? Instead, we just give it the first image and we say, hey, a barista walks into the scene and does the whole spiel. So let's try that.
Hi there, welcome to Chase AI Coffee. Come on in, I'll show you around. We've got a fresh batch brewing and pastries just out of the oven. Make yourself at home.
So that is your solution to this problem. If you want to have a person come into your image and you have a starting image that you want to begin with, right? You do that. You give it the starting image and you give it a prompt where someone walks into the scene. So if you want to use Sora 2 for photorealistic marketing and you have some sort of product you're trying to show, demonstrate that needs to be there, that's how you would do it. You'd have like the product on a table and say, hey, someone comes into the scene, picks up the product, does the whole UGC spiel about it. That's the workaround. So is that the hack we're going to have to use if we want to do photorealistic marketing using Sora 2? Yeah, I think so. There's a chance they sort of like loosen the restrictions, right? I think they kind of went over the edge, but just know that's where we're at. So for our last test, we're going to be looking at an image prompt that's dynamic with very specific audio signals. So the actual image we're going to be starting with is this one, right? It's like a camera's inside the cockpit looking at someone in an F-14. And the prompt we give it is very detailed. We want it to do like a 360-degree spin. We want to see G-force effects. And I have very specific instructions when it comes to what audio I want to hear. I want to hear Viper 2 breaking right. I want to hear the oxygen mask. I want to hear the whoosh effect, beeps, 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 breath normalizing, all this stuff. So very detailed, dynamic, starting image. Let's see how they do. So first up is Sora.
Viper 2, breaking right, go.
I mean, obviously that doesn't look realistic at all. No one would be able to do that. That'd be like 3 billion Gs, but wasn't terrible. That you could see that and be like, all right, I could probably tweak the prompt and get something. Let's see Wan. Wan's been struggling in this video. Yeah, I think he dies. I think he died in that video. Wan, not too hot. We didn't get the audio we wanted of like Viper 2 breaking right. It kind of just completely spazzed out. Not impressed. Now let's see VO3. All reliable. What do you got for us?
Viper 2, breaking right, go.
So we get the break right, we get the audio, and then it kind of just like flies straight. It's like it read the first 100 characters of the prompt and then ignored the rest. Again, not awful. You feel like you could tweak the prompt to get something you wanted. So sort of in the same ballpark as Sora 2. And so I did even more tests than you saw here, but these trends kind of continued. And the trend is Sora 2 is awesome. Sora 2 is really, really good. But when you use Sora 2, you feel like you don't have a ton of creative control. You feel like you kind of just like nudge it in a general direction, and then you roll the dice and you see what sort of cool thing it came up with, because they always, for the most part, look good. The issue with that is, again, and we saw it with the marketing thing, just the workarounds we had to do, is like, if you want to use these AI video models for like commercial purposes in whatever space that is, you need creative control. Like, I don't want to sit here and roll the dice and get charged every single time I create a video. And even though these prices are going down, right? Sora 2, if you use something like the Kai API, is 10 cents per 10-second video. If you're using Higgsfield, you can get Wan 2.5 and VO3 for relatively cheap. It's still a cost you have to think about, right? I want to be able to like get to the point where, okay, maybe I do the video 2 or 3 times, not I'm doing the video 10 times and we just see what happens. So I hope we can kind of get to a place where we can start the videos with something like this. Like I can put photorealistic images there, because then we could do a lot with Sora 2. Now, Wan 2.5, in the context of these tests, was a big disappointment. On the other end of the equation, when I used Wan 2.5 a few days ago, and when I use it inside of Higgsfield and I actually take advantage of things like these dolly ins, dolly outs, handhelds, like all these sort of like presets they have, it does a lot better. But when we're just testing it in terms of like, all right, we're raw dogging this prompt and I just want to see what you can do at a base level without being handheld by sort of the Higgsfield guardrails, it really struggled. But hey, if you're using something like Higgsfield and you can use these things, it does a lot better. But you know, that goes for all of them, and I wanted to judge it on an even playing field. And lastly, VO3, like I said before, it's all reliable. It's going to follow the prompts. It's going to give you something to work with. It's a step below Sora 2 overall, but it doesn't have the lows of something like Wan 2.5. On the flip side, since it doesn't have the highs of Sora 2, you're like stuck in this place where it's like, okay, it works, but it's not amazing. Like, it's not great. It's been around long enough to where like nobody's impressed by it. The good thing is like VO3 obviously is as bad as it's ever going to be. And I'm sure there's some upgrades on the horizon apparently pretty soon. So hopefully it can sort of build on the foundation that we see here. So I think the biggest takeaway for all this is there's a ton of variance, right? From prompt to prompt for the images you use. This is as much more an art form than it is a science. But there is definitely gold to be had when it comes to Sora 2. You're just going to have to do a little extra work, especially when it comes to doing it in a marketing sense. Right? But I think it can be done. I really do. Even more so if you aren't tied to hyper-realistic stuff, right? If you're willing to go a more creative route, you can essentially get all the benefits of Sora 2 without this, you know, hyper-realism, you know, guardrail nonsense. So that's it for this video. Make sure to check out all my resources down below in the comments, the free Skool, tons of stuff there, especially if you're trying to get into like the AI agent space. So let me know in the comments what you thought about this. Hopefully made it enlightened you a little bit about what these models can and can't do. And I'll see you guys around.